buckle up, everybody, because today we're going deep on cultural fusion in art and music.
Oh, I love this topic.
Yeah, me too. I think it's going to be a fun one.
Totally.
I mean, we all love discovering new artists and genres, right?
Absolutely.
And this is like opening up a whole world of possibilities.
Yeah, for sure.
So we've got this document here that's really cool. It kind of breaks down what cultural fusion is, gives us some super cool examples.
I was looking at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, some great stuff in there.
And it even gets into like the benefits and challenges, the good and the bad of this whole blending thing.
Yeah, it's not all sunshine and roses, right?
Exactly.
There are definitely some things to consider.
For sure. So to kick things off, maybe we should define what cultural fusion even is.
Yeah, that's a good place to start.
What do you think?
Well, I mean, at its heart, it's all about blending different cultural traditions, right?
Okay, so like taking bits and pieces from different cultures.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's not just like throwing things together randomly. It's about taking those elements and creating something new.
Oh, so it's like a conscious process, like there's intention behind it.
Exactly. It's about creating something meaningful, something that speaks to the heart of both cultures.
I like that. That's a great way to put it.
Thanks. And you know, this isn't some new trend.
Really?
Oh yeah, cultural fusion has been happening for centuries.
I never thought about it like that.
I know, right? It's fascinating. Think about the Silk Road, for example.
The Silk Road, okay.
Yeah, that ancient network that connected East and West. It wasn't just about trading goods, it was about exchanging ideas and cultural practices, too.
Wow, so like all those traders and travelers were bringing back influences from different cultures.
Exactly. And those influences found their way into everything. Art, music, even fashion.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So even way back then, you had these incredible examples of cultural fusion happening.
Okay, so it's like something that's been woven into the fabric of human history for a long time. That's amazing. So how about we jump into some specific examples?
Sure. Where do you want to start? Visual arts.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so have you ever heard of chinoiserie?
Chinoiserie, no, that's new to me.
It's this really interesting style that popped up in Europe in the 18th century.
Oh, wow, 18th century.
Yeah. And basically what they were doing was incorporating Chinese motifs and aesthetics into their art and design.
So like European artists were inspired by Chinese art.
Exactly. They were fascinated by the exoticism of Chinese culture, and they wanted to bring that into their own work.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so you'd see these European paintings and furniture with like dragons and pagodas and all these Chinese elements.
Wow, I can totally picture that.
Yeah, it was this really interesting blend of East and West.
Okay, so that's chinoiserie.
Yep.
Cool. Another example that comes to mind is Mexican muralism.
Oh yeah, Diego Rivera, Jose Clemente Orozco, David Alfaro Siqueiros.
Yes.
Amazing artists.
They were doing something similar, right?
Absolutely. They were blending indigenous Mexican traditions with European painting techniques.
And they were creating these huge, powerful murals, right?
Exactly. They wanted to tell the stories of their people, their history, their struggles.
It's like they were using art as a tool for social commentary.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things that makes Mexican muralism so powerful and enduring.
I totally agree. And it's such a great example of how cultural fusion can go beyond just aesthetics.
Yeah. It can be a way of reclaiming your identity, expressing your history.
Exactly. It's not just about pretty pictures.
No, it's about something much deeper.
And, even contemporary artists are still playing with these ideas.
Oh, tons of them.
Like, I'm thinking of Yinka Shonibare.
Yinka Shonibare, he's brilliant.
I love his work. He uses those vibrant African fabrics, but creates these sculptures that look very European.
Right. And it makes you think about the whole history of colonialism, the relationship between Africa and Europe.
Exactly. It's like he's using those contrasting elements to make a statement.
Yeah, he's challenging us to look at history from a different perspective.
It's amazing how art can do that.
It really is.
Okay, so we've talked about some visual art examples. What about music? Because music seems like it's almost made for fusion, right?
Oh, totally. I mean, think about it. Instruments, rhythms, melodies, they can all blend together so seamlessly.
Yeah, like it just seems natural to mix and match.
Right.
And I think jazz is the perfect example.
Jazz is amazing.
It's like this incredible mix of African rhythms, European harmonies, and then that American improvisation.
Yeah, it's got this incredible energy and spontaneity.
And it's a truly American art form, right?
Yeah, born right here in the United States.
blending all those influences together?
A melting pot of sound.
I love that.
And jazz is just the tip of the iceberg.
Oh, I bet. So what other musical fusion examples are out there?
Well, how about reggaeton?
Reggaeton, okay.
It's the super catchy blend of Latin American music, hip-hop, and Caribbean dancehall.
So it's got like those driving rhythms, the rapping, the Latin flavor.
Exactly. It's a global phenomenon now.
Yeah, for sure. I've definitely been hearing it everywhere.
And then you've got Afrobeat.
Okay, Afrobeat, what's that like?
Well, it's this really cool fusion of traditional African rhythms with funk and jazz.
So it's got that funky groove, but with those African rhythms layered on top?
Exactly.
I'm already intrigued.
It's super danceable. And then, of course, there's K-pop.
K-pop, oh yeah. That's taking over the world.
It really is. It's got this super polished pop sound, but it's also infused with Korean culture and language.
It's amazing how it's managed to transcend language barriers.
I know, right? Like, even if you don't understand the words, you can still feel the energy and the emotion.
Totally. Okay, so we've talked about how fusion works in art and music, but I'm curious, why does this even matter?
Well, I think it matters because it's not just about aesthetics.
It's about something deeper.
Exactly. It's about pushing creative boundaries. It's about promoting understanding between cultures.
Yeah, it's like seeing the world through different lenses.
And it's about keeping traditions alive, by weaving them into new art forms.
So it's like this incredible tapestry that's constantly being woven and rewoven.
And it's getting richer and more vibrant all the time.
I love that.
Yeah.
So it's not just about creating something new, it's about connecting with each other on a deeper level.
Exactly. It's about recognizing the shared humanity that connects us all while celebrating what makes each culture unique and vibrant.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
Thanks. And I think that's something that's really important, especially in today's world.
Yeah, for sure.
Because, when we understand and appreciate each other's cultures, it breaks down barriers and builds bridges.
And that's something we could all use a little more of, right?
Absolutely.
I'm really starting to grasp how cultural fusion goes beyond just, borrowing looks. It's like appreciating the deeper cultural context and meaning behind those artistic choices.
Exactly. It's about understanding the stories, the symbolism, the history woven into those choices.
Speaking of understanding, I'm curious about some of the terms we keep bumping into, like motif, symbolism, and aesthetic. They seem pretty key for really getting how fusion works.
You're right. Those are important motifs. Think of it like a recurring element, a theme in a piece. It could be a pattern, a symbol, even a specific set of colors, but it's got to hold some cultural weight,
Okay, so like Islamic art, how they use those intricate geometric patterns. Would that be a motif?
Exactly. And in fusion, artists might borrow those kinds of motifs, weave them into their work. Imagine that pattern, but on a modern sculpture, built with materials you wouldn't normally find in Islamic art. That back and forth, that's where the dialogue between cultures happens.
So it's less about just using the motif and more about how it's reinterpreted, given new meaning in a different context.
Precisely. And that leads us to symbolism. Symbols are powerful, right? Different cultures, they attach different meanings to them. So when you're looking at fusion art, understanding those meanings is crucial.
That makes sense. So something like the lotus flower, super important in Eastern cultures, right? If that's used in a Western artwork, it carries a whole other layer of meaning based on its original context.
Perfect example. And then we have aesthetic, which is a bit trickier. It's all about beauty, taste, what guides those artistic choices. But what one culture finds beautiful, another might not. That's where things get really interesting in fusion.
So clashing aesthetics, they can lead to something totally new and unexpected.
Yeah.
It's like pushing the boundaries of what we consider beautiful.
Exactly. Even just color. Think about that. Different colors, they evoke different feelings, different cultural associations. What's bold and celebratory in one culture could be seen as harsh or even disrespectful in another. Fusion makes us face those assumptions head on, expand how we see beauty.
Okay, so those terms, I'm getting how they apply to visual art. But what about music? Does music have its own fusion vocabulary?
Absolutely. Genre, harmony, rhythm, even improvisation. These all show how musical cultures blend to create something new.
Okay, let's break it down. Genre seems pretty simple, right? It's just how we categorize music.
Right, but fusion messes with that. It's not about fitting neatly into a category. It's about breaking down those walls, borrowing from multiple genres to create something that defies labels.
So like how we talked about reggaeton earlier. It's not just Latin music or hip-hop or dancehall. It's all three.
Exactly. It takes those core elements, the dance hall rhythm, that hip hop flow, the Latin melodies, and blends them into something fresh.
Now, what about harmony? I know it's about how notes sound together, but I'm a little fuzzy on the details.
So harmony is about combining notes simultaneously, creating chords, progressions. Different cultures approach this differently, and fusion music smashes those approaches together.
Like jazz, with its complex harmonies, drawing from European and African traditions.
Exactly. That interplay, that's what gives jazz its unique sound. And then we have rhythm, the heart of music, right? It's all about the patterns of sounds and silence, what creates the groove, what makes you want to move.
And rhythm has to be huge in cultural fusion, especially in genres like Afrobeat with those complex rhythms. It's like the music is pulsing with energy from multiple cultures.
Absolutely. And lastly, there's improvisation. Lots of fusion genres use this, where musicians just create in the moment, no written score. It's pure freedom and expression, truly unique.
It's like a conversation between the musicians, building on each other's ideas, blending those cultural influences in musical languages. That must be incredible to see live.
It really is. But as amazing as fusion is, we have to remember it's got its complexities. One of the biggest is making sure cultural exchange is respectful, that it avoids appropriation or exploitation.
You're right. We touched on that earlier, but how can we as listeners, as viewers, be more mindful? How can we appreciate cultural fusion and still be aware of those pitfalls?
It starts with being informed, being engaged. Don't just passively consume art and music. Dig deeper, learn about the artists, their backgrounds, those cultural influences they're drawing on.
So if I hear a band using instruments or styles from a culture I don't know much about, I should take the time to research, understand the history and significance.
Exactly. Approach art and music with curiosity, a desire to learn. Ask yourself, who are these artists? What are they trying to say? Are they collaborating with artists from the cultures they're inspired by? Are they giving credit?
Those are great questions. It's like we have a responsibility to be conscious consumers, to make sure our enjoyment isn't coming at the expense of someone else's culture.
Precisely. And that's what separates true cultural fusion from just appropriation. It's genuine exchange, collaboration, respect. It's celebrating diversity, finding common ground through art.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm really seeing how cultural fusion, when done right, can be this powerful way to build bridges, promote understanding between cultures.
Absolutely. And that understanding is more crucial than ever in today's world.
As we've been talking, I keep thinking about that idea you mentioned, cultural fusion as a bridge between traditions. Do you have a favorite example of a piece of art or music that just nails that? Something that really showcases that blending of cultures.
Oh, there are so many. But you know, one that always comes to mind is the Silk Road Ensemble.
The Silk Road Ensemble.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have you heard of them?
I think so, vaguely.
Well, they're this incredible group of musicians from all over the world, led by the cellist Yo-Yo Ma. And they perform this amazing mix of traditional and modern pieces, drawing on influences from China, India, the Middle East, Europe, the Americas. It's incredible.
Wait, Yo-Yo Ma is involved with them.
He is. He founded the group.
That's amazing. I mean, he's such a legend.
I know, right? And that's what makes the Silk Road Ensemble so special. They're not just blending sounds, they're bringing together different musical traditions and cultures.
It's like they're taking that ancient Silk Road concept and putting it to music.
Exactly. Connecting different cultures through sound.
That's so cool. I'm definitely going to have to check them out.
You should. They're a perfect example of how cultural fusion can be both beautiful and meaningful.
I am really glad we did this deep dive.
Me too.
It's been fascinating.
We've gone from, like, the basic definition of cultural fusion to all these amazing examples.
And art and music.
And we even talked about how to appreciate it all respectfully.
It's like we've been on this incredible journey.
It really highlights how interconnected our world is. Cultural fusion is a reminder that we can learn so much from each other's traditions.
Yeah, and create something even more beautiful together.
Exactly.
It's like we've been given this incredible toolkit of cultural influences, right? And we can use them to make something truly unique and special.
I love that analogy. And who knows what incredible new art forms are waiting to be discovered through this kind of cross-cultural collaboration.
That's an exciting thought.
It is, isn't it?
So to everyone listening, I encourage you to keep exploring the world of cultural fusion. Find new artists and genres, visit museums and galleries, and just be open to new experiences.
Be curious.
Exactly. And remember, when you come across a piece of art or music that blends different traditions, take a moment to really appreciate it. Think about the stories it tells, the cultures it represents, and the beauty that comes from that creative exchange.
Beautifully said.
And with that, we'll wrap up this episode of The Deep Dive. Thanks for joining us on this journey, and until next time, keep diving deep into the fascinating world around you.